Red Polly, Dusty, Blue Poncho.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Frisky, Risky Betting and Fantasy Podcast. We are your hosts, Tyler, Will, and we're here to give you the juicy bets of the week and talk through some of the riskier bets that you can make this week. So with that, let's get us started off. It is Wednesday, December 4th. Will, start us off, man. What are your first big bets for week 14 of the NFL season?
Well, good morning, but we've got another great slate this week, even though it's in some aspects by-Mageddon for fantasy players, so it should be an interesting week. I'm sure you saw the Denver Broncos somehow pull out a magical win on Monday Night Football against Jameis Winston, who has a rocket of an arm, but yeah, he threw 6 touchdown passes. 2 of them were to the Denver Broncos defense. So, which is funny because I had the Broncos defense in the league and I needed them to play well. And I thankfully actually didn't need to play them and didn't. And I was like, let's see what happens. And even with the 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and like a fumble recovery, they only ended with like 13 points because Jameis Winston put up, I think, 42 or whatever. That being said, a team that could very well put up 42 this week on the road, and I think you're going to be a little shocked by this, is the Green Bay Packers on the road in Detroit. I'm taking the Packers on the spread at +3. Biggest reason for this, the Packers are 9-3 straight up this year. Although they are only 6-6 against the spread, the Lions' defense is very banged up this week. I think the Packers have a very sour taste in their mouth from earlier this year when the Lions went into Lambeau and beat them. The Lions are obviously an absolute wagon, Tyler. I think we all know this. They're 11-1 and 9-3 against the spread. But their biggest weakness all year has been this defense. So that's, for some reason, I feel like the public is going to be heavily leaning on the Lions -3.5, which makes a lot of sense, and they have the right to. But for some reason, I feel like the Packers will keep this game close, and Jordan Love will be slinging that pill around the field. So give me Packers +3.
That actually doesn't surprise me at all, because when we were doing our pick'em, I went back and forth on this game, mainly because Green Bay's really been kind of bringing it on, and because of how banged up Detroit is. Detroit is one of the most banged up teams. In fact, last week, I believe, according to our banged up scores, they were the most banged up team in the NFL, yet they have just been gritty and been that Dan Campbell type team that he wants, where they just power through and win games. Ultimately, I ended up staying with Detroit in the pick'em, mainly because it was being played in Detroit, and because it's on a Thursday, and I just don't trust Thursday games. So I feel like it will be low. I feel like it'll be lower scoring than we think. They always are for some reason on Thursday. But with that said, it doesn't surprise me that you take Green Bay on the. I think I had it at 3. At 3 because they could definitely come in here and steal a win. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, Packers won their last 7 out of 8 games. So both teams are just on kind of astronomical heaters, if you will. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I agree with you. The total right now is 51.5. And I think, 1, people are going to be hammering the lines, and 2, I think they're going to be hammering the over. And I think this could be a classic NFC North just grind fest. So I'm excited for that. I'm glad to have another good Thursday night game because it kind of seems like
for sure.
Thursday night games are the worst game of the week. So that being said, don't give you a lot of totals normally, but I'm going to give you one this week. I got Falcons-Vikings over 46.5. Little revenge game, if you will, for Kirk Cousins. He obviously played absolutely terrible last week. I think he is going to have a bounce-back game in a game that he kind of needs to. Obviously, the Falcons are not what everybody thought they were going to be this year. I think a lot of players are showing this age, as in Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins this year, which is a bummer because we all know how we both feel about that contract that he signed, but we're not the owners of the Atlanta Falcons and that kind of money. so we can't really say too much. But we all know it was a terrible move, to say the least. But the Vikings are 10-2 straight up, 7-4-1 against the spread. Yada yada yada. You don't need to know anything against the spread when we're talking total. To be honest with you, I just saw this line and it really stood out to me, and I just feel like Kirk Cousins is going to come in and hopefully have a bounce back game. Either way, for some reason, this game on the schedule at 46 and a half just seems like it will be a shootout. So that's mainly the reason why I'm going with that one. Kind of more of a gut check feel. I'd say this is definitely a risky, or a friskier pick for the money line spread. And I also kind of wanted to do a total because I don't give you a lot of totals. So just mix it up a little bit. Week 14, see if we can get the juices flowing.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think the Minnesota Vikings are fraudulent. I think that team, the team is the classic Minnesota team. They pull out some close wins, and then their losses aren't terrible, but they're just not. They're never going to be until they get someone in that spot that can bring them all the way. Under center, they're never going to be that top team, even with Justin Jefferson. And I don't think Sam Darnold's that guy. I never thought Kirk Cousins was that guy, and so I definitely don't think he's that guy for Atlanta either. But they win games in the regular season. They just can't, they just pull out some close ones. So, like you said, I mean, Kirk Cousins is going back, to play against his former team here. I think that could be. He's going to want to put up some points, so I think that gives you a little edge on your Frisky bet here. So I do like that. It makes me a little nervous overall with those two teams picking the over. See. I do like it.
Vegas will never expect
That's true.
They'll be like, people are hammering the under, dude. You never know. My final money line spread. This one, I'm going to also put in the risky category just because I don't know which way this game is honestly going to go, and I'm surprised that they were the favorite, and they are the favorite because of the home team. And I'm taking the Cardinals on the spread, -2.5 over the Seahawks. I know. This one I kind of sided with Vegas. I was looking at the lines. I was like, why would they do this? Trying to figure it out. The Cardinals obviously have been in a lot of close games this year. Kyler Murray has been playing a lot better than in recent seasons, which is good to see because he's a great player. But a lot of people are obviously questioning his commitment to the game, and because with that little homework clause he had in his contract, yada yada yada. Seattle's 7-5 straight up, but they're only 5-6-1 against the spread, while the Cardinals are 6-6 straight up, but believe it or not, 8-4 against the spread. Cardinals are a little bit of a cover machine, if you will. And the big thing, in their past 6 games, the Cardinals are 5-1 against the spread. That's my biggest reason for going with the home team on the spread this week. They've just been an absolute cover god, if you will. And they're on a little bit of a hot streak doing it. So, and if you look at the Cardinals' ranks in terms of offense and defense, they're kind of middle of the road, 17th overall, 18th against the pass, 13th against the rush. But it's their offense that has really stuck out to me. They're 11th out of 32 overall in the NFL in total offense, 22 out of 32 in pass, and 6 out of 32 in rush. So for a guy that I feel like one of these days his wheels should fall off, and James Conner, he continues to kind of just
his wheels fall
be
off
a
like once a year,
workhorse, which is crazy. But yeah, and it seems like it's the end of the year and like fantasy playoffs when people need them. So keep that in mind. Maybe clip this just so you can set a reminder when it's, because I guess, this is the last week of the regular season. So next week, the wheels should fall off if history repeats itself, which it often does. But I'm going with, I'm a trend guy, and I'm going with the hot trend of the Cardinals covering the spread. So I also think the Seahawks are good. They've been the weirdest team for us all year, I feel like, when we do this show, because every week they'll have a good week and then they'll have a bad week. And last week they had a good week. They covered the 2 against, I forget who they played, but I know they covered the 2 points. It was one of my newsletter picks. And yeah, just give me the hot covering Cardinals this week. Kyler Murray's going to shock the NFC West. And I think, aren't they they're either tied for first in the NFC West or they're right behind Seattle. So this is going to be a big game, and thankfully it's at home for the Cardinals. If it wasn't at home, I'd take the Seahawks, but I like the Cardinals again to win
Well,
by a sneaky
that
field goal.
is in the risky category. I would say I would agree with you there. They are one game behind the
Yeah,
Seattle Seahawks currently.
yeah,
It's going to be a little different for us on our pick on this week. I took the Seahawks over Arizona, despite Arizona being the favorite. I think Arizona's the favorite just because they're at home. Normally, you see, when it's basically a pick 'em game, the
yeah.
home team gets a point or two from Vegas, just in general. So uh, I think that's why they're up, but I think Seattle will come in. I think Seattle knows how important this game is with how close their division is. So I went with Seattle on this one. Again, to our listeners, like Will said, it's it's kind of a just a throw the coin here, flip of the coin. Both of these teams have been very inconsistent this year. So, uh, give me Seattle, give Will Arizona, and going head to head, buddy. I like it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? I'm curious. I'm going to keep my eye on these lines too because I'm sure people are going to start putting a good amount of money later in the week on Seattle. So who knows? It might by the end of the week, by the time we get to Sunday, it might end up being a straight up pick 'em half a point. Who knows? But I'd be surprised if money moved in the direction of the Cardinals. But we'll see. So who knows? Well, classic another divisional rivalry this week. A lot of them, and this one should be interesting. If you would have told me that Seattle and uh, the Cardinals were the two fighting for the top spot in that division at the beginning of the year, I would have said you're crazy. But then again, I would have said you're crazy when you told me the Denver Broncos are 8-5 and they're going to make the playoffs. So it's been a weird year, to be honest with you. So, and watching teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, what are the Bengals now? 4-8
Rough.
or whatever. Like the shit. I mean, they need to fire Zach Taylor. Speaking of who needs to be fired, we'll go into the next one. Impact injuries. The entire front office, coaching staff, media team, whoever's telling people that CMC was good to go, and then was like, oh, wait, he actually has Achilles tendonitis that is now going to leak into the rest of the season. That has now got him a knee injury. Hopefully he's
He
okay,
is.
but it sounds like he's going back on IR. You can speak on it more, but CMC, man, he has just been the ultimate just league ruiner, morale ruiner. If you're
Yeah,
a 49ers fan,
he
it's
has
terrible to see Tom.
definitely cost my team a couple of W's this year. He has a PCL sprain now. That's a minimum of 6 weeks for a player to return. He is officially on IR, and to be honest, it probably will be for the rest of the season. If they somehow make it well into the playoffs, then sure, I'm sure we'll probably see him again.
Mhm.
But with their chances dwindling, and Ayuk done, him done, their second back, Jordan Mason on IR, um, you know, that is a big if. I mean, even Brock Purdy's been injured. I mean, that whole team has been injured.
Mhm.
So I'm interesting. It's going to be interesting this offseason to see how their medical staff, if their medical staff stays or if they get fired. Um, a lot of those have been the Achilles tendonitis one, a little bit different. That usually tends to be some overuse stuff. So that's a that's a classic Christian McCaffrey injury. Um, yeah,
I was
but
going to say
the
that's a
other stuff, the
staple for
Ayuk
him.
ACL, the PCL, some of these, that's stuff that the medical staff obviously can't, or the strength and conditioning staff, they're going to have trouble preventing those. But, and even the ankle sprain
Yeah.
in Jordan Mason. So it's going to be interesting. What it's going to be interesting for, Will, is this game this week. Because, they played the Bears, and the Bears have shown the Bears are inconsistent. The Bears have shown that they either show up and they play pretty well, or they just can't get anything started. And with these injuries,
Mhm.
normally I'd say San Francisco all the way, 49ers are going to crush the Bears. However, with these injuries, it gets a little bit closer.
Mhm.
It gets a little bit closer. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I know the
Yeah.
spread is now 4.5 for San Francisco. I'm not sure that the Bears can't cover that.
I picked spoiler. I picked the Niners in the pick'em, but if it was a spread pick'em we were doing, not just straight up pick the winner, I would take the Bears on the spread. I yeah they and obviously last week they covered whatever I think it was 12 against the Lions, which I mean going into that game everybody would expect the Lions to cover that against any other team, but if you listen to the show last week, the Lions are just they do what they do every year on Thanksgiving, and finally they got the win and broke a 7-game losing streak on Thanksgiving this year. But they are not, for some reason, that team, is a wagon this year. But then they get to Turkey Day, and yes, they got the win, but they dang near, should have honestly lost that game if Matt
Well, and
Eberflus
that's
got
going to
it
be a
coached
big thing for
properly.
this
But
week, right? I mean, I took San Francisco as well, but I'm a little bit, and though I do think the Bears can win that game, they have an interim coach, so we don't know how how that's going to go. I mean, he could
yeah,
come
who
in and
knows?
just torch people,
Yeah.
or he could come in and have some interim head coach struggles. So we're going to have to see how that works. The
Hmm.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
other big
I can,
impact injury I have for this week, Dallas Goedert, for the Philadelphia Eagles. He is dealing with a knee injury that could put him on IR as well. At least a few weeks, if not IR. Luckily for the Eagles, he should be back for playoff time, which the Eagles should make, regardless of whether he plays these next 4 games, 3 games, whatever it is.
yeah.
Um, but this week, Philly plays Carolina, and though Philly should come out and smoke Carolina, Carolina has been showing up to games as of late. The
Yeah.
biggest thing they're going to have to do is obviously stop Saquon Barkley, like every team. But if they can contain
Mhm.
him, do you think Carolina has any chance of getting out of Philadelphia with a W if they can contain Saquon Barkley?
Uh, it all depends. I mean, looking at it right now, Philly's a 12-point favorite. I would take Carolina on the spread. It is in Philly, which is a little scary, given how that offense has been playing. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you can even remotely slow down Saquon Barkley, which I don't even know what you would consider that, like 80 yards rushing and like 1 touchdown, or it probably is in that realm. I think they could. It's all going to come down to Bryce Young, honestly, and how that offense is looking. They looked great last week. Adam Thielen played out of his mind. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's definitely a possibility. It's any given Sunday, but I would 12 points is a lot of points, but I think if Bryce Young can match Jalen Hurts in that offense's firepower, then yeah, we could be in for a good day if you're a Panthers fan. But
Dude,
you never know with the Panthers, man. I mean, I'm glad to see Bryce Young playing well again. I know you are too, since he's a Bama boy. But Philly is Philly's looking kind of like a
they
juggernaut
go
right
back
now.
and
So
forth.
we'll
Like at the
we'll
beginning of
see.
the
I
season,
mean,
they were
yeah,
struggling. They had a lot of injuries, which obviously they don't now, and they're getting moving. I play against Saquon Barkley this week, so I hope to God Carolina can find a way. I also play against Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs in Green Bay, so I need Detroit to step up on Thursday night.
Hmm.
But we will see what happens there. But now that we've talked a little bit about those impact injuries that could affect some of these games, Will, let's talk about some breakout players who could affect the game. Some guys who can come in and maybe get your team a win, who have been showing that they can do more than sit on the bench. Uh, you want to start us off with your breakout player?
Well, yeah. Well, just a quick recap from last week. I said Titans wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akine is on a generational touchdown catch heater. The dude gets like 3 catches a game, but one of them's for a deep touchdown. He did it again last week. He actually had 2 last week. He put up like I think it was 20 something fantasy points. off 3 catches for 61 yards, but got in the end zone twice. It's incredible what this guy is doing. I mean, is he going to keep it going? Who knows? A lot of people are saying he could be a league winner if he keeps it up, which I wouldn't be surprised. But it's a little scary. I'm just telling people to be a little more weary with Westbrook-Akine, because if he doesn't get in the end zone, which eventually he won't, because 7 out of 8 games with at least 1 touchdown is unheard of. And at some point, he has to regress. I'm waiting for it. You'll see later in some of my player prop picks, I did take him on a light sprinkle to score again, mainly because I've hit it the past 2 weeks, and his odds have just been ridiculous. So I'm curious to see what Vegas will put him at. But he was crazy, and I'll tell you right now, if you can get Jonnu Smith, people get Jonnu Smith, because that dude is looking like he's looking like a legitimate league winner. Like he could very well end up tight end number, like top 3. I mean, George Kittle has had a phenomenal year, even though that 49ers team has struggled on offense a little bit. But yeah, Jonnu Smith is 10 catches, 113 yards, 21.3 PPR points. Like, dude's going crazy right now, which is, you just wouldn't think in that offense. I mean, not to say that he's not a good player, but with the firepower they have with Jalen Waddle and A-Chain and Tyreek Hill, that I don't know why Tua loves throwing Jonnu Smith the ball, but that dude's just hooping. So, that being said, though, my 2 kind of impact players for this week. This one is, I'd say, definitely risky in terms of a player. I'm going with Isaac Guerendo, purely based off the volume that dude's going to get. Obviously, I don't think many people had CMC's handcuff, and then also had CMC's handcuff in Isaac Guerendo. So I'm saying he's going to be a breakout player purely because they're probably going to use him a lot, especially with the amount of injuries they have. They're going to need to get that ground game going if they're going to give Brock Purdy any help, especially with obviously now CMC and Jordan Mason not being able to play. So I don't even know who. Forget, he's a weird name. They're the guy that's going to be backing up Guerendo, but I think Guerendo should see at least 20 plus touches this game, and I'd be surprised if he didn't. So that's why he's going to be my first.
Well, we have the same first breakout player. I also have Isaac Guerendo, and actually picked him up for CMC on my squad. But as you said, CMC has his PCL, Jordan Mason has his ankle, so both are on IR. He's had 2 strong games this season already. Isaac Guerendo has. Week 6, he had 10 carries for 99 yards. Week 8, he had 14 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown. Last week, when he had to come in, he had 4 carries. He had 19 yards, but he had a touchdown. So the guy can run like a bruiser, but he's also quick. He's agile. I like the way he plays. So yeah, I think he has shown that he can do it. We'll just see how the 49ers use him. And I think, like you said, if he can get enough carries, then I think he'll find the end zone and be a good pickup for you if you did lose CMC or just need a running back in general. My next guy is Parker Washington, Jacksonville wide receiver. He had 103 yards, touchdown, and a 2-point conversion last week. The reason I chose him, though, is because Gabe Davis is now on IR. Christian Kirk, both of them are on season-ending IR. So he should see more targets now. The only caveat to that is Mac Jones is their QB. So with Trevor Lawrence taking that big hit on Sunday, you do have to worry about that a little bit. But if Mac Jones can sit in the pocket a little bit, they do have this week a pretty good game, pretty good matchup against Tennessee, who has struggled this season. So if Mac Jones can get a little bit more time in the pocket, I think Parker Washington could have another decent game.
Yeah, 100%. Mine's kind of in the same realm. The one thing is he's listed as questionable right now, so I do have a backup player to tell you right after this guy. But I think many people saw what he did this week, and that's rookie Ladd McConkey of the LA Chargers. Dude had over 100 receiving yards at halftime, led the team in targets, the whole 9. Dude's an absolute, kind of reminds me of like a little Wes Welker, like Julian Edelman. especially because his helmet looks way too big for his body. But the dude, doesn't matter. Dude can see well, and the dude catches footballs from Justin Herbert, and it seems like Justin Herbert loves to throw to him, given that Quentin Johnson has not found any chemistry with old Herbo this year. McConkey had 9 catches on 12 targets for 116, 20.7 PPR fantasy points. If he does play, I'd say play him no matter what. He's clear and far away the wide receiver 1 in LA right now, and it seems like I said Herbert loves to get him the ball, and the dude makes plays. So I'd keep going with the hot hand. If he doesn't play, my next big one is Jaden Reed of the Green Bay Packers. He obviously had 2 touchdowns last week on the Thanksgiving night game in Lambeau. He had 19.7 PPR points. He did only have 3 catches for 24 yards, but he did have 2 touchdowns. And the reason why I'm telling you to play Jaden Reed, one, it's a big divisional game on Thursday night again, another primetime game for him. And it kind of seems like he's like a poor man's Deebo Samuel, if you will, for that offense for the Packers. They kind of seem to like to do a lot of gadget plays with him. They kind of get him in weird spots in the red zone. That seems to, at least as of late, set him up for touchdowns. So Jaden Reed is definitely pretty touchdown dependent. But the way at least LaFleur has been using him right now, I'm totally okay with kind of having him be a boom or bust guy, because it seems like he's going to get in the end zone at least once. So if Ladd McConkey can't play, give me Jaden Reed.
Yeah, well, I like that. I like two things. With Jaden Reed, I think Romeo Doubs is still in concussion protocol right now, which means that he should see a higher target share. Hopefully not too high, because like I said, I'm playing against Jordan Love. But then again, I'm playing against Josh Jacobs, so I just can't have an offense do anything, run or pass the ball. Yeah. When it comes to Ladd McConkey, like we talked about last week, I couldn't agree more. He is a great player for that team. I do think that he would be unbelievable in that wide receiver 2 role if they could find a true wide receiver 1. I think we talked about them finding the money to pay Jamar Chase at the end of the season. And if Herbert could have Jamar Chase on one side and Ladd McConkey on the other, that freaking offense would be unbelievable. So if they can find that, I think that would be even helpful. But for right now, agree, Ladd McConkey is crushing it for his squad. He kind of plays in that Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua role a little bit, but he is just showing out. I mean, he's playing unbelievable. So, but that injury he is a little bit injury prone. This isn't his first injury. He has left games before. He usually comes back, but he has left games for injuries, things like that. So, well, Willie P, it is time for Week 14 Pick'em. And so for those of you who follow the show, Tyler's on a 4-week win streak now. After last week, Will got a little risky. I would say it's more risky than frisky. And took Carolina.
They didn't work.
It was an up and down week. I thought I was going to take it even earlier because I thought the Patriots were going to win that game, and I had the Pats and Will had the Colts. But the Colts pulled it out with 14 seconds left when the Patriots defense collapsed. But then Will had the Panthers, and I thought Tampa Bay's kicker blew it when he missed the field goal. But then Chuba Hubbard with the fumble, overtime, Tampa Bay gets the ball back, kicks the field goal for the win. So we tie, which means it goes to our first tiebreaker, which Will chose last week to be number of interceptions in the Dallas Giants game. And I had Drew Lock with more. He had Cooper Rush with more. Drew Lock threw 1, Cooper Rush threw 0. Therefore, it's another W. And now we are in
off interceptions. God damn
14, which means we only have a few weeks left of the regular season. And if you can't win, well, you only have like a game left before there's no way to catch me. But you could go on a 4-game win streak yourself right now, and look at that. Then we would be.
I guess, dude. I mean, this is do or die right now.
And this week is a good week because there's some.
I'm looking at my
there's going to be some differences, I think. So.
There's some weird.
So we
games
start
this
with
week,
Detroit,
for
Green Bay,
sure.
and I have to take Detroit mainly because I have to root for Detroit. So because I'm on the cusp, I'm just outside the fantasy playoffs in one league, and this game decides whether I get in or out. So I'm all in on Detroit this week. So give me Detroit, which means Green Bay will probably win.
I took Detroit as well, even though I told people to take Packers spread. Yeah, and there's a reason. I mean, everything I've said. This game's gonna be a shootout. Who knows? But there's a reason why Detroit's favorite. It's because they're at home. So I like Detroit to win, but I like the Packers to cover. So I think it'll be a classic last second field goal type of game, and we'll see Bates continue to kind of be a clutch kicker for the Lions.
I like it.
So, yeah,
All right,
give me
we
Detroit.
move to Tennessee, Jacksonville. Are you a Tennessee or Mac Jones squad this week? As did I.
I took the Titans. I did.
And I think they are.
Yeah,
they are -4
the Jaguars.
right now.
Terrible.
And they're at home.
Yep.
So.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy to see when you just see Tennessee -4. You would think they're favored in any game this year, but then you play the worst team in the league record-wise, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and here you are. So, yeah, give me the Titans at home. I think they'll be not an easy win, but
All right. We got Miami, New York. I'm going to take the Dolphins over the Jets this week. I think the Dolphins are starting to play a little bit more hand in hand. Obviously, Thursday, Thanksgiving, Lambeau, that's not their place. They're back home. They're in the warmth. So I think they'll get together and come out with a win. Plus, the Jets are, God, they don't even have like a front office anymore. So.
Yeah, dude, Woody Johnson needs to sell that team. He never will because he's only made money off that team. But yeah, I'm really glad I'm not a Jets fan. Let's just say that.
The line on this next game and took the Falcons over Minnesota. All right, here we go.
Took the Vikings. Let's go. Yeah, I after the way Kirk Cousins played last week, I can't.
I think his team's going to want to do it for him.
And I don't want to put my faith. Maybe, dude. God, dude. I'm excited to watch this game, especially because I told you to take the total. But I think this is actually going to be a really good game. And I am surprised Minnesota is -6. I think that's a little egregious, but I would have taken you to take Falcons on the spread, but again, I'm praying for a Kirk Cousins bounce back game to get some points on that board, but who knows, man?
It's going to be an interesting one. I got Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. I'm hoping that Bijan can break out and have himself a game. Just haven't really heard too much from him this year either. So,
I think he only has like 2 touchdowns all year, which is crazy. Maybe 2 or 3, but it's still just like why? Why does nobody on Atlanta likes to use these generational type players and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson the right way? And it's
crazy. This is the game. This is the game. Just because you picked Minnesota, this is the game.
Yeah, this is the game. This is the game of the
Saints,
week.
Giants. I got the Saints as well.
I can't.
This game I think will actually be interesting because it is going to be played at MetLife. I think New Orleans is the favorite by 5, but I think the Giants could have a little bit of magic here. But I'm taking the Saints. A little something, after last week. But I'm going to take the Saints. Philly, Carolina. I think we're both taking Philly. I think you have to. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Does Jameis Winston, is he mad, or is he come out and put up about 103 yards this week?
I took the Steelers. Pitt's a 6.5 point favorite, but if there's anybody that's gonna shock the AFC East or North again, because he already beat the Ravens this year, it's going to be Jameis Winston. Now that I took the Steelers,
It's not going to hurt you either way because I went with the Steelers
he's
as well. But it's
yeah,
dude. I just have a feeling though that he's going to come out like a dud after throwing for almost 500 last week.
500 yards. Yeah. Seeing that live was ridiculous, and being on the sideline for that. I was like, so I looked up at the scoreboard halfway through the fourth quarter, and they said he had 421 passing yards, and I was like, no, he doesn't. That's wrong. That's got to be wrong. Then I checked ESPN, and I was like, oh, yep, he does. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Jameis Winston is the most hot and cold player in maybe in NFL history. Dude's not a knock against him as a dude. He's a solid dude. I think the most genuine and funniest guy in the NFL as well. But yeah, after throwing 4 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions or whatever he threw, and and almost 500 yards, he's due to regress, and I'm sure he will against a good Steelers defense in Pittsburgh too. So we'll see how he rolls into. It's not Heinz Field anymore, but
we will see if George Pickens cannot get 2 penalties this game. Tampa Bay, Vegas. We're going to take Tampa Bay. They're at home. They have Bucky Irving at this point, so no one seems to be able to stop him.
Yeah, dude, that guy's a menace. Oh man, he's a stud. He's
one of my breakout players last week, and he just did it again this week. I mean, the guy can't be stopped right now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's insane, and it's just wild because coming into the year, I was like pretty high on Rachaad White, and then little rookies came. A lot of good rookies
taking over.
It's been fun.
Starting the new generation. We already talked about this one. Seattle, Arizona. I'm taking Seattle. You're taking Zona. Yep. So
I took the Cardinals.
That's our second difference of the week. So if we don't get another one, we're gonna have to pick a tiebreaker. But we might have another one. We'll see.
I know.
We will see.
I think we will.
I think you think that because of the game, but I think I also went the other way. So we're gonna see. All right, Buffalo, Rams. I'm taking Buffalo. I think you have to.
Buffalo. They're a wagon.
Josh Allen's
crazy, dude. Like, if you get the Bills in any snow game, obviously in Orchard Park they're a juggernaut, but Josh Allen, dude, just loves to play in the snow, and I hate it because I needed Shakir to kind of put up some points in that Sunday night game, and that game just wasn't conducive.
I had
for
Amari
that
Cooper. It was
snow.
the same thing.
But dude, Josh Allen is. I hope he wins the MVP. Actually, I hope Saquon does because that would be cool to see a running back because we haven't had that in a minute. But it's probably going to be Josh Allen because he's playing on.
Derrick Henry is another option.
Ridiculous.
They got so many options for running back, and it'll still end up being a QB.
Derrick Henry's gonna. I think Derrick Henry's had like 2 weeks.
Yeah, he
straight
needs to come through for me this week.
Or
he can't. He's on bye week.
He
can't.
Which he like. Yeah, he had like 140 points last week, I believe, without a touchdown, which is like phenomenal. But like in terms of his standards and what he's done this year, it's kind of like
imagine having 140
kind of a sore spot on the resume, But, yeah, no, literally, dude, it's crazy. But
San Francisco, Chicago. I think you already said San
pound
Francisco, correct? Same, going San Francisco as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I took the Chargers over Kansas City. I knew when you said
so
I think we're gonna have a difference. I was like, I don't think you were gonna have a difference. The reason I did is because Kansas City can't stop winning by like a point, and I'm sick of it. And I think if anyone can stop them, it's going to be Harbaugh. Yeah. He's gonna figure it out. And for that reason, I took the Chargers.
I took the Chargers too. Same thinking. Somebody's got to.
Why not the Chargers?
And it could be Justin Herbert and Jim. Why not the Chargers? The one thing that does make me worried is this is the Sunday night game, so it's just gonna be Mahomes and the refs on primetime, and we all know what they like.
And if they don't have Ladd McConkey, if the Chargers don't have Ladd, then
we'll say it right now.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough. So,
yeah. But I'm telling you right now, Tyler, if there's some fuckery in a late game scenario with like a bogus PI call or something, We all know what's going on. They're
They
not
love it.
even hiding
They
it
love
anymore.
it because
They're doing
everyone
it in
watches
plain
just to
sight,
see
and
if it's going to
knows it.
happen.
And
They're making money off of
It's
it.
terrible, dude.
And then
Oh,
Cincinnati,
man.
Dallas, taking Cincinnati. Despite their terrible record, their offense is crushing it. Their defense is just horrendous. But
Ridiculous.
Dallas
They
can't
need
do
to fire
anything.
Zach
They're
Taylor.
missing so many guys,
They
and
do.
they got problems. And then of course there's bye weeks for Denver, Colts, New England, Washington, Baltimore, and Houston. So watch your fantasy teams because there are a lot of squads that are in trouble.
It's a crazy. This is a big week. Like this is obviously it's the last week of the regular season. Like a lot of people, if you haven't had a good year, like jostling to probably sneak into the last spot. Whatever. It's crazy to me that there's this many teams on a bye this week. Like it seems like
literally that's what's weird to me is it's
teams,
the week that people need to win games to get into playoffs, and their whole teams are gone.
Yeah,
it's.
Dude, yeah, like, and it's not like it's like bad teams. Like it's like you said, Ravens, Texans, Broncos. Like there are a lot of key guys I'm thinking of right off the bat that are not gonna be able to play, and it's like, what do you do? Like, and that could ruin a year's worth of hard work, which is that's crazy. I don't know who makes the schedule. Probably Goodell, but or at least has some say in it. Maybe he did it this year to spite people. He's like, I'm tired of people bitching about fantasy. You know, to my employees.
We'll well, that's it. That's the pick 'em. That is so. We have two differences. So we need a tiebreaker, sir.
I picked it last week. You get to pick it this week.
Let's go to what a game we think will be high scoring. No, you know what? We're gonna. I kind of want to do like we each pick a quarterback who's going to have more passing yards this week. But it does maybe we do. It doesn't have to be the same game.
I love that.
Do we want to do? It doesn't have to be the same game, or it does have to be the same game? Does not have to be the same game.
No, it does not.
Well, in that case, give me. Man, I just hope he has enough time with Micah Parsons, but I kind of want to take Burrow for most passing yards.
Okay.
I hope to God he doesn't get it, because then I'm screwed in every different way. Actually, I love that you chose that, because that means he won't, and then I will.
People, you should have heard the rant that he as in Tyler gave me last week about Cortland Sutton and his 2 touchdown catches, because I think if anybody has listened by now, they know that I'm a Broncos fan, and I bet Bo makes to have 2+ passing touchdowns, and he hit the line purely based off Cortland Sutton.
I still ended up winning. I still ended up winning that
sold
game.
Some bets for us
it was a little bit better. Had I lost, I won by less than a point. Had I lost, it would have been way worse. But
yeah, but he was just. I'm getting him a jersey. If the Broncos somehow make us a run in the playoffs,
I want it signed. I want it signed with an "I'm sorry." Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, Tyler. That's it.
With that, we move to the final piece of the Frisky Risky Betting and Fantasy Podcast, and that is the prop bets, the big prop bets from Willie P. So give us who you got this week, bud.
I said it earlier in the show when we were talking about impact players. I don't know what his odds are right now because it's too early and they haven't released them. But I'm going to keep, even if you're sprinkling half a unit on it, give me Nick Westbrook at Keen 8 to get into the end zone. This thing has been printing money for people. Last week he was plus 290. The week before he was plus 380. They both hit. Like I said, don't put your mortgage on it. Don't put a lot of money on it. But it's definitely worth a flyer. Definitely the riskier side of the bets. I should have reorganized this. I don't know why I'm telling you this the first one because it's the top of my list, but that's the way. Either way, throw a couple bucks on him. You know, maybe he can be a little get back bet for you if you're having a bad day on Sunday. But like I said, 7 out of 8 these past 8 games with a touchdown. The dude only catches like 4 catches a game, but one of them's for a touchdown. So, just ride the hot hand until he dies in the sunset. And when he does, we will retire his jersey in the rafters because this dude has just been on an absolute heater. The next one, this is why I took Jordan Love for the tiebreaker. Give me Jordan Love over 247 and a half passing yards against the Detroit Lions. I like this pick because, one, I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. Jordan Love is a gunslinger. I think he's going to have to match that high-powered Lions offense if they're going to have any chance, especially on the road in Detroit. And it's a Thursday night game, so people want a show. I think this game will be a show. And in the 10 games Jordan Love has played this year, after getting hurt, obviously, in Week 1 in Brazil, he has hit this line 6 out of 10 times. So
I'm looking for 2 big injuries on the Green Bay team.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm a big Jordan Love guy this week, and I'm just now realizing it. That being said, my next one, and I hate that I picked this, but I have to because I'm trying to get the vibes right for my fantasy team for the final week of the year. That is Alvin Kamara to get in the end zone. He has not scored in.
He's due.
He scored a TD in 6 games. So if anybody's due,
I know you're a trend guy, but I'm a due guy, and
Kamara,
that just means it's time.
Yeah, dude. He is nothing but due, and I can't. Oh, and they play the Giants.
It's essentially a lock.
Alvin, I just need one, buddy. I just need one, and you do what you normally do. We're good to go. But he had a great start to the year, and not that he hasn't had it's not like he's had a terrible year since then, since Week 5. But for some reason, he just can't get in the end zone. And of course, Taysom Hill had that.
Taysom Hill tore his ACL now, so he's not going to help.
3 rushing touchdowns. I know. And quick soapbox. I do not hate Taysom Hill. I think he's a great guy. I've never met him. He seems like he's a good guy. Is he a phenomenal athlete? 100%. But every year, when this dude has that one game of where he has multiple touchdowns or he actually does something on offense consistently for a full game, the announcers always are like, this dude is such a game changer.
Everyone picks him
really
up.
Really wish you had him on your team. Yada, yada, yada. Nah, dude, it's just crazy to me because they just glaze him so hard. And again, I'm sure he's a great guy. He is a phenomenal athlete. I'm not in the NFL, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I'm just a talking head. But they always do this. And then it's the rest of the year, he doesn't do anything. He has one good game a year. And if you can get him on that one good game, it's the classic fantasy football thing of I told you so. But I don't know why. I was talking about this with my buddy the other day when I was drinking coffee, and I was like, I don't understand why people love Taysom Hill so much. He is literally just
well, it's because they used to have him right as QB every year too, and then you could put him in tight end and get his yards.
Yeah,
but
QB,
even then, it was the whole.
I'm over it, dude. I'm over it. He's taking up a valuable roster spot. Anyway, my next one, it's kind of a little 2-piece combo. I don't know what the odds are. They don't have the line yet. But it's Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown. Plus,
why are you just
yards
choosing every player I'm against this week in fantasy? It's like this guy's entire team.
Well, one, I have Saquon Barkley, so I need him to have another big week to just solidify, hopefully getting a 2 seed in one of my.
I don't agree with any of these bets. These are all risky. You should not take any of these bets.
Saquon's going to eat. No bias here at all. But yeah, no, Saquon's an absolute dog. I think he's going to eat. These are. I'm sure the anytime touchdown is going to be close to minus 200. That's why I'm parlaying it with his rushing receiving. But he's a do it all back, as we all know, and I'm assuming the rush plus receiving. I mean, who knows anymore given the past couple of weeks? But I bet it's 120.
Carolina's about to just lock
Tyler
down, dude. It's unbelievable.
It's 8 in the morning.
If there was one team that I was
anyway,
they're definitely going to lock down Saquon Barkley, it's Carolina.
It's Carolina Panthers defense of the year. My last pick again. Trends riding the hot hand.
Oh yeah.
Give me Bucky Irving to get in the end zone again. I think I have no problem with that. I feel that's a Frisky. Maybe you'd be a little worried about it because he's been absolutely electric. But it seems like that dude's catching, getting on the roll exactly when he needs to. And the thing that is worrisome a little bit is the Raiders do rank 11th out of 32 in the NFL in rush defense, but the Bucks rank 8th out of 32 in rush offense. As well as that, they're also the fifth best scoring offense in the NFL. So they'll be getting in the red zone. And speaking of the red zone, they're the third best offense in the red zone. So hopefully Baker Mayfield can get his boys down to the red zone and then just keep doing a little handoff to old Bucky until he gets in there. So I don't think it's going to take him too much time, but yeah, give me Bucky Irving to get in the end zone. Almost call him Bucky end zone. And
there it is.
It might stick.
Well, that's it, guys. That is your Wednesday, December 4th, Frisky Risky Betting and Fantasy Podcast brought to you by the Predictors. Again, make sure you follow our newsletter. That will come out tonight. Will actually come out tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Pacific. So it has a lot of juicy info on bets as well as some articles to go click on. Make sure you follow us on socials and always check out thepredictors.com for more information on NFL, compare pages, everything you need for fantasy, as well as NFL and NBA information. We will see you next week right back here for the podcast. Thank you for listening.